Today's lesson is on mutually exclusive events. Now, what does that term mean? Well, mutually means like at least two things, maybe three or four. Most of the time we'll only deal with two. Exclusive. I don't know if you've been to an exclusive restaurant or an exclusive place. It just means that it's very special and you have to have permission to be there. Sometimes it means like you gotta be part of the club, that type of thing. All right. The main idea here is that mutually exclusive events have no overlap. All right. That means that they don't share anything. So it would be like rolling a die and getting an even, or rolling a die and getting an odd. Yeah, there's no overlap there. Winning a game or tying a game. I don't think I spelled tying right. Drawing a jack from a deck of cards or drawing an ace. Getting a pet that flies and going to the store and getting a pet with 4 legs. Those would be all mutually exclusive events that can't happen at the same time. There's no overlap. So if something is mutually exclusive, then what we say is you just add those two probabilities up. Okay? So if A and B mutually exclusive, then just add them up. Super simple. But let's do an example first before we go on to the but part. What is the probability of choosing a freshman or a senior to participate in a contest, say, at a pet fest? Well, let's look at the freshmen, sophomore, and juniors and seniors of a high school class. And here we have the counts. So we would see that, for example, there is no overlap. You can't be a freshman and a senior. So we're going to just add those two up. But we need to know what the total is. Obviously, when we get a probability, we need the total. So I'm going to put the total down here. You can probably do this faster than I can. But let's see, we get 3, 3, 3, 3. That'd be 12. 1390, I think, is what I get when I add those up. And then on top, I'm going to add the 330 and the 350. So the probability of a freshman or, key word there, pay attention to that, senior would be 680. Did I add those up right? Yeah, I think so. Over 1390. And I know I could divide those both by 10 and answer it in this fashion. And ballparking it, I would say it's almost 50%, right? If we were to divide that out. So it's pretty close to 0.5, as one would expect. All right, now the tougher problems. What if A and B are not mutually exclusive? Well, then we need to find the overlap. Once we do that, once you find the overlap, then we are going to subtract it from the sum. Okay? So the probability of A plus B, the probability of A or B is the probability of A plus the probability of B, and then we have to subtract off the overlap because we don't want to add that up twice. It's very helpful to be thinking about diagrams. So here we can see a chart, and here would be the overlap. And so you would see that if you added up all of A and then added up all of B, that this portion here would be added up twice, and that's no good. Okay, so to find out what is the total, you have to add all of A plus all of B, and then subtract that piece because you've added that twice. So here's an example. If we are rolling a die, what is the probability of getting a prime number or an even number? So let's come over here and use our Venn diagram and list out what are the prime numbers. Well, you may have forgotten what the prime numbers are. So let me list off on a die. 2, 3, and 5 are the prime numbers because those numbers are not divisible by anything except itself and 1. Hopefully you know what the even numbers are. Let's list them off anyways. 2, 4, and 6. And I'm going to move them a little bit closer. Then I'm going to put them in the chart here. Now, I notice 2 is in both of them, so I'm going to put that in the middle. And then 3 and 5 here, and 4 and 6 here. So we can see that group B is the even and group A is the prime numbers. Yeah. Now there's only, I think, 1 or 2 numbers other than the ones that I've listed, which are not either prime or even. And that would be 1 and 5. So they're outside the 2 circles, still in the box. All right, well, we know that this is going to be over 6. All right, because that's the total. So how many A's do I have? I have 3 that are in the A. Yeah, and there they are there, 3, 5, and 2. And then I've got 3 that are in the B's. Yeah. And then I have to subtract off the overlap. And again, here the overlap is, there's 1 item in the overlap. And so 3 plus 3 is 6. So I get 5 out of 6. Whoops, I made a mistake there. 5 is not outside, right? Hopefully you saw that before I did. We'll quickly pretend I never wrote the 5 there. All right, so the probability of getting an even or a prime is 5 out of 6. Okay, the only way that would not happen is if you got a 1 on a die. All right, one other way we could have done this, some people prefer to do it this way. So since there's 3 out of 6 and 3 out of 6 for even and prime, and then there's 1 out of 6 that's the overlap, right? So that would give me 5 out of 6. Okay? Last example. Rain and temperatures. We're going to the weather. Yeah? What is the probability that we have rain the next day? Assume here that we're doing some sort of event. Okay, here's the probability the temperature will be greater than 90 degrees. And we have the probability that it will be rain and above 90 is 45. Okay, so 60%, 70%, and 45% are our values. All right, I think drawing a Venn diagram is probably useful. I'm going to label this side as the rain side, and this is the above 90 degrees. And so we know that 70% is in this region, and we know 90% is in this region, but there's overlap. So I can't really put 0.7 here because some of that 0.7 might be in that area, right? All right, so that, and again, I'm not going to put rain was not 0.7, 0.6. Okay, that's a mistake that a lot of kids do, is they do that, and that's problematic because they don't know what the overlap is. So let's back up and let's take this last fact. The probability that it's both of them is 45%. So that I'm going to put right here. Okay, rain and over 90. So now I can figure out what are these two probabilities, because the probability that it is just rain is, what did we say? 60%. So if this is 45, how much is left over for the 60? So I'm going to do a little math problem here. 60 minus 45, and I get 15. 0.15. Same thing on the over 90 degrees. I'm going to take 70%, subtract the 45, and there I get 25. So I know that just being greater than 90 degrees is 25%. Now I can answer questions, all sorts of questions. This one says, what is the chances that there will be no rain or be above 90 degrees? Okay, now where is that region? So we have to be outside of the rain. Okay, got to be outside that region. I also have to be outside of this region. That means I'm going to be somewhere in the box, but outside of that region. So that means all this stuff, like how much is left over? Well, we know that the total is 100%. So I'm going to say 1, because that's 100%, minus, and now what I'm going to do is add up those three things. What three things? The 15, the 45, and the 25. Okay? And I'm going to add that up in my brain. Hopefully I don't make a mistake. You can check on my calculator. 15 and 45 is 60, so that's 85. So I could write it down as 1 minus 0.85 is 0.15. So 15% chance of that occurring. Okay, that would be outside here. Now another way of doing that, again, if I follow the rule up there and I say add them up and then subtract the overlap, I could say 60%, 60% plus 70% minus the overlap. That is also going to give me 0.15. Okay? All right, well, hopefully that made sense. Sorry, that won't give me 45. That will give me 15, sorry. It'll give me 85. So this tells me that I have an 85% chance of being inside, right? And so now, and by inside I mean in the region. Okay? So therefore, 15% if I subtract from 1 is outside. All right? Okay, so 2 rules to remember. Mutually exclusive events, again, you're looking at compound events. We're looking at the word or. If they're mutually exclusive, just add them up. If they're not mutually exclusive, you've got to find the overlap. And the rule is to add up the probabilities and then subtract the overlap. Drawing Venn diagrams is going to be very helpful in doing these problems. Best of luck as you do the homework.